Hello people, happy new year. Welcome to the first video of 2023. In today's tutorial we will be doing this colorful sweater. I got the inspiration from Pinterest. There are a couple of knit sweaters that look like this, like they are inside out, if you see what I mean. And I wanted one, so I decided to recreate one in crochet, and this is how it turned out. I used so many colors because I wanted it to be colorful, but you can use as few colors as you wish if you don't like it to be this colorful. And it's easy to make. We'll just need our hips measurements and how long you want your sweater to be. So you can make this in your size, or you can even adjust it to be bigger, smaller, whatever you wish. You can make it shorter. It is up to you. So let's dive into the tutorial. As I mentioned, I used several colors and I used several types of yarn. Here I think I have milk cotton yarn, which is a size 3. This is also milk cotton yarn. This is acrylic yarn and it is DK size. So I just got scrap yarn that I already had, yarn leftovers. This is what I use. This recommends a 3.5 to 4.5 millimeter hook. And same as this. So a couple of colors from your scrap yarn, and you will need scissors. For the hook size, I used a 4.0 millimeter hook. Okay, and of course a tape measure. So how we're going to work this sweater is we are going to start from the bottom with this bottom ribbing, which is an equivalent of our hips measurements, but we will work in 2 panels. So we work from side to side with this ribbing, and then once we have the ribbing from side to side, then we will go up first with the back panel all the way up straight, and then we'll do the front panel, which is basically the same apart from this neck area. So we'll leave a few inches here, and then once we're done with that, we'll do the sleeves, and that's it. It's quite easy. So let's get started. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Yeah, road to 200,000. Thank you. All right, so we will start with the ribbing. For the ribbing, you're going to take your hips measurements and divide them by 2, since we are working 2 panels, okay? So mine is 34 divided by 2 is 17. So that's how long my ribbing will be. So get your yarn, get your hook, make a slip knot, and now we are going to work just on the length of the ribbing. So we are going to make enough chains. Depends on how long you want your ribbing to be, okay? So make your first chain and make your chains. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so I made 15 chains, and now we're going to start on row 1. This is how long I want my ribbing to be. So skip the first chain and go into the second chain and make a half double crochet. So you have 3 loops on the hook and pull through all. Yarn over, go into your next chain. You have 3 loops, then pull through all. So we are making half double crochets for this first row, and at the end of it I will have 14 half double crochets. Okay, so do that until you get to the end of the chain, and I will meet you so that we can go to row 2. But if you want this to be longer, then make it longer than 15 chains. Okay, so I have my 14 half double crochets, and this is how they look like. Let's see how long it is. It is about 3.2 or 3.3 inches. So this is the length I talk about. So then now we're going to work from one side to the other side. Okay, so for row 2, you are going to chain 1, and then you'll turn your work, and we are going to work only in the back loops. So you see these loops here, we are working only in the back loop. Normally you would, this is the back loop. Normally you'd work in 2 loops, but since we want that ribbing kind of, we are only working in the back loop. Okay, so we are only working in the back loop, and we are working with half double crochet. So you're going to go into the back loop and make a half double crochet, go into the next back loop and make a half double crochet, go into the next back loop and make a half double crochet, only in the back loops. And people were asking me, how do you keep your lines straight? You see how I started my row? It is all about how you start your row and how you end your row, and keep counting your stitches. If you lose a stitch, then your work is crooked. But if I'm at the end of the row and I have 13 stitches, so I need to do my 14th. Normally I work in only 1 stitch here, but some people are unable to, so just work into the 2 loops at the end if you want to keep it straight. Even if I work in one stitch in 1 loop, I still keep it straight, and I will be working only in 1 loop. I'm just want to show you. So for row 3, chain 1, turn your work, and in the very first stitch make a half double crochet, and you are going to work half double crochets only in the back loop till you get to the end of this row. And basically this is the pattern for the ribbing. It's just going to be a repeat of 1 row. Just get to the end. I have my 14 stitches, I chain 1, turn my work only in the back loop, and that is it until I have half of my hips measurements, which will be, my hips measurements are 34, so I will have 17 inches. Okay, I'll keep repeating this until I have 17 inches. So if your hips measurements are probably 40, you'll have 20 inches if you want this kind of fitting. But if you want it to be more baggy than how it looks on me, then of course you'll add inches. If instead of 20, you can make like 22 or 24. Or if you want it shorter, maybe you want it more fitting than how mine looks, then you can do less inches than half of your hips measurements. It is totally adjustable to what you prefer. Okay, so it's not a must that you have to make this sweater as long as mine or as fitting, my kind of fitting. Just you can change anything. Okay, so I'll meet you once you have your ribbing ready. For me, this is what one of my panels looks like already, all the way to the end. Okay, right, so I have my ribbing ready, and I have my 17 inches long. So this is going to be the back panel, and you see once we turn the front panel, it becomes 34 inches all round. But since we are doing 2 panels, then I do half of the measurements. Okay, so it looks pretty cool, pretty neat. All right, so now we're going to start on row 1, and we will work a row of single crochets across so that we have a basis. Okay, so chain 1 all along here, we'll work single crochets, and watch how I am putting them. Please pay attention on this. So you see here, this first stitch here, I'll insert a single crochet, and then at the top of this ridge, I will insert a single crochet. So that's my second one, and now I will just go straight into the bottom ridge here. Okay, the bottom ridge here, that will be my third. So for those 2 rows, I've only worked 3 single crochets. Okay, so now the next 2 rows, so I work 1 in this stitch here, 1 at the top of the ridge, and 1 right into the bottom ridge. Okay, let's repeat. 1 in this stitch here, the next one at the top ridge, and the third one in the bottom ridge. I call them ridges, I don't know what they call them. Okay, so in the stitch, at the top of the ridge, and at the bottom of the ridge. If you know how they call this stuff, please mention in the comments, because I just give it my own name. And at the bottom. So you see how I'm doing it. This is how you're going to do it. Okay. In here at the top and then at the bottom. And you find that by the end of this, once you have your rows built up, you'll only have like 1 or 2 inches bigger than your hips measurements. Okay. So this is how it looks. This is the wrong side, and I'll see you here. All right, so I am done with my single crochets and it's all just a few left. So I have, okay, so I show you. So I have one at the top of the ridge, one at the bottom of the ridge, at the bottom of the ridge, and then our last one in this stitch here. And this last one we don't pull through because we want to change color. Just cut off your yarn, get your next color. That's if you want to change color at this point anyway. So I'll pull through with a new color, then chain 1, then I'll just tie my work, the color that I'll cut off plus the new color, just tie it together so that everything is secure like this. And then I'll chain another one because we will be chaining 2 at the start of the row. Okay, then I'll turn my work, yarn over, and in this very first stitch I'll insert a double crochet. So we are going to work with double crochets and we are working in 2 loops. So I'll make a double crochet. The chain 2 does not count as a stitch. Okay, so I'll work 1 double crochet in every stitch across until the end of the row, and I will meet you there just so we can begin on row 2, and I show you also how to end this row. Okay, so I am coming to the end of the row and I have my last stitch here. This is where you put your last stitch. It is important you know where to put your last stitch. So you chain 2, turn your work. In that very first stitch we'll make a double crochet. Chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so this is our very first stitch. Going to the next one, make a double crochet. Into the next, make a double crochet. I just realized I'm fast. Make a double crochet, double crochet, and you're going to work double crochets in every stitch until the end of the row. I'll meet you there just to show you how we finish off the row. So I'm coming to the end of the row and this is my second last stitch. So this is going to be my last stitch. You see here, right there, between the chain and the first double crochet, that's my last stitch. Then you're going to chain 2, turn your work. Chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so you'll put your first double crochet in this very first stitch here, and you will repeat, go all the way to the end. Once you're at the end, depends on how often you want to change your colors. We are going to be changing our colors after every even row. Okay, so I'll make 4 rows for me to be able to change my color. So you can change after 2, you can change after 4, you can change after 6, you can change after 8, depends on you. So after every even row. Okay, so I have my 4 rows and I want to change color. So this is my last stitch and I'm going to do it halfway. With when I have 2 loops remaining, that's when I will change color. So I'll cut this off, then get my new color. I will use a white for this one because I want that contrast. You know, they have to be contrasting colors, otherwise the pattern does not really show nicely. Okay, So now this is where the pattern starts, you know, that unique pattern that you see on the sweater. Okay, so I'll chain 2, turn my work. Okay, so it will be facing the other side. Okay, so this will be the wrong side. So first stitch, we are going to make a normal double crochet. Now for the second stitch, this is where we are going to do the pattern. And guess what stitch we are using? Front post. Okay, so we are going to use this pattern, do this pattern using front post. So I will see this next stitch. I'll go in between like that with my hook and make a front post. Okay, so my next stitch here, I'll go with my hook under it like that and make a front post. See? Then next, under the next stitch like this with my hook and make a front post. And next is a front post. So basically we are going to make front posts until the end of the row, and then I'll show you how to finish it off. You know, I always wanted to make this kind of sweater because they are neat sweaters when you look at them on Instagram, on Pinterest, and I always wondered, how do you achieve this stitch? Because it is neat. I don't know how to knit. I wanted to do it in crochet, and then I discovered, oh, so I can use front post for this, and it turned out well, I guess. I was so happy when I discovered that. So it is front post. Just put your hook under all the way through front post. Okay. And I hope you like this pattern because I don't know, it's not for everybody, but I really love how it looks. So go ahead, I'll meet you at the end of this row. So I'm at the end of the row and I have 1 stitch remaining. So this last stitch will just do a normal double crochet. Okay, we'll do a normal double crochet in 2 loops and not a front post. Okay, so we start with a double crochet, we end with a double crochet. So this is how it looks and I love it. Yay. All right, so for the next row, we are going to start with chain 2 and then turn our work. And in this very first stitch, we'll make a double crochet. Chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, and we are going to make double crochets all through. So this is basically the pattern. Once you change color, you do front posts, and then after that you continue with normal double crochet. So I want to change color after 2 rows here. If you want, you can change after 6 rows, you can change after 4 rows, you can change after 8 rows, depends on how many colors you want. Or you can even use like 2 colors, but keep changing them, you know. So it depends on what you want. So it's after every even row, okay? As you can see, this is how I changed. I had 4 here, I had 2 here, I had 4 rows here, I had also 4 rows here, and then I had 2 rows, and then I had 6 rows, and then I had 2, then I had 2, then I had 4. It depends on you. So I'll meet you once you have the height of the sweater that you want. I will let you know how many inches I did for mine. All right, so this is the height that I wanted. If you want, you can make it longer, or if you want shorter, depends on you. I did 23.5 inches, okay? So just measure yourself or measure one of your favorite sweaters. See if that's the height you want, or if you want it longer, you could want to make it like more like a dress or something, or maybe a short sweater, so it depends on you. If you choose a short sweater, of course you'll do less inches, like 17, or I don't know, depends. Okay, so this is totally up to you. Just measure your body, shoulder downwards where you want it to reach, and that's it. And then you also, this is the back panel. So for the front panel, I want to leave 4 inches upwards. Okay, so if for the front panel, you're going to work exactly the same from here to there, and all these rows exactly the same, but leave 4 inches and done. Okay, so let me measure my 4 inches. I know it is up to this row, this after this first white row, right? When I measure my 4 inches, so I will do until this first white row, and then I'll come so that you can put the neckline area. Okay, so these are 7 rows remaining for the neckline area, and that's what I will not do until I meet you again. So I will do until same measurements as the back panel, but only not doing 4 inches, because the 4 inches will do them differently. So same as you, okay, but same as your back panel, but don't do 4 inches. Once you have 4 inches to go, don't do that unless I tell you to. We will meet. Okay, so this will be the wrong side. All right, so I did my front panel, did all these inches, and I have 7 rows to go, which is an equivalent of 7 inches according to what I measured on my back panel. Okay, yeah, and now we want to put the neckline around the front panel. Okay, so they are identical until this part. Here is where we want to leave our neckline. Okay, and for the neckline, I want to leave 3 inches. So you can see I measured my hole across, and it is 18 inches. Like I told you, it will add a few inches from what you had at the ribbing. So for the neckline, I want to leave 3 inches. If you're much bigger, you can leave 3.5, and if you're an extra large, XXL, leave 4 inches. Okay, so 18 minus 3 inches is 15 inches. Divide by 2 is 7.5, which means on one shoulder side, I will have 7.5 inches. It's simple math, people. 7.5 inches, okay, on one side. On the other shoulder side, I will have 7.5 inches. When you add that, that becomes 15. So in the middle neckline, I will have 3. So 15 plus 3 is my 17 inches that I measured across. Okay, so do your math. And so I have my 7.5 inches here. I'll put a stitch marker, and then I'll count all the stitches until my stitch marker, and then I'll count those same number of stitches on this other shoulder side and put a stitch marker, and what is left in the middle will be our neckline. I will not work in that, which is about 3 inches. Okay, so do your math. Get your measure from side to side, minus 3, divide by 2, and you have that. Okay, so we are going to work up to here first, and we'll make decreases as we go up, and then we work from here, making decreases as we go up. Okay, so let's begin. So I'm going to work until I have 2 stitches left here, so that we can do a decrease, our first decrease. Okay, we are doing the decrease next to the neckline. So I will do my first double crochet as usual, just like before, and do double crochets across until I have 2 stitches left here, so I make a decrease. So I'm coming to the end. This is what I did, and once I'm here, I have 2 stitches, so I want to make a decrease, so I'll go in with a double crochet, but do it halfway, then yarn over, going to the next one, pull through 2, and then I have 3 remaining, and then pull through all, and I have made a decrease. So we'll be decreasing in every other row, which means the next row we will not make a decrease. Okay, so here we are not making a decrease, so I'll just go into this very first stitch, make a double crochet, go into the next one, make a double crochet, into the next one, make a double crochet. I am not making a decrease on this row, so I'll go all the way to the end like we were doing before. And once I'm at the end, I'll chain 2, turn my work again all the way to this side, chain here, chain 2, work all the way here until I want to make the second decrease, and I will meet you. So I went all the way here and then worked all the way back to this side of the decrease, and now I have 2 stitches left, so I want to make a decrease. So again, we go in with a double crochet but do not complete it, then yarn over, go into your last stitch with a double crochet, pull through 2 and then pull through all. That's our next decrease. So our next row is a row of no decrease, but we want to change color, so I don't pull through all, right? Because we want to change color. So we get my next color, which is a purple according to my back panel, but you can always mix these. You don't have to use the same colors on the back and the front. So I'll pull through all with the purple, cut my yarn, and tie together. So since it is a row of changing color, we are going to be doing front post. So this, and it's a row of no decrease, so I'll just make a double crochet here, and then now the front post. So I'll go under this, where we make our first double crochet. So this is our next stitch, so I'll go under it with a double crochet, a front post. And I'm going to make front posts all the way to the end, and once I'm at the end, I'll chain 2, turn my work and work double crochets until I am where I need to decrease, and then I'll make a decrease. So you'll do that until you have the same number of rows as you have on your back panel. So for me, it was 7 rows of the neckline, so I'll do that until I have my 7 rows matching my back panel, and then I'll come so that we can do the other side. Okay, so you see I have 4 rows of purple, and I will do that till the end, decreasing where I need to decrease. We are decreasing after every 1 row. So the row of increase, row of no increase, row of increase, row of no increase, and this is how it looks like in the end. Okay, so I was decreasing after every other row, and now we want to work on this side. Okay, so we are going to start from here, and now that we ended with a decrease on our first row of decrease, so we are going to start with a decrease because we are decreasing towards the neck area. So this first stitch we will make a decrease. So reattach your yarn, chain 2, and I'm going to make half the double crochet because we need to make a decrease. Go into the next stitch and pull through 2 and then pull through. So we made our first decrease. Okay, and now I'm just going to work double crochets all the way to the end. Okay, so it will be double crochets all the way to the end, and our next row will be a row of no decrease, and then the next one will be a row of decrease. We are decreasing at the start of the row, while the other side we're decreasing at the end of the row. Okay, so you get it? So it will go like this until you have the same number of rows with the next color and everything. Okay, we are decreasing after every other row. We're decreasing here, now we are decreasing here. All right, so I'm done with my decreases, and this is how it looks like. So our rows are the same number of rows as the back panel. Okay, only that we have this in the middle. So now we want to join the 2 panels together. As you can see, they're very identical. This is the right side facing each other. Okay, and we'll be working on the wrong side, so the wrong sides are facing outwards. So now we will need to join these 2 shoulder parts up here and on this side. Okay, so we are going to reattach our yarn in the very first stitches. and I'll be using this purple color to join, just to be uniform. And we are going to join using slip stitches. So I'm going to be going into both loops on the front panel, on the back panel, and just slip stitch, going through all the loops, slip stitch, going through all the loops, and then slip stitch. So I'll be slip stitching all the way to where I meet my neckline. Okay, and yeah, that is it. This is how we are going to join it. If you prefer another method, please use that method. This is not a must. So this is how it looks. I'll do all the way here, and once I'm done, I'll do the other side, and I will meet you once both shoulders are joined together. Okay, so I have everything joined together, and this is how it looks like. This is my front panel, and we'll work our sleeves on these sides. Okay, so I just lay it down. I already did one of my sleeves. I'll show you how to do the other. So you're going to lay your sweater straight like this, where you have the back panel and the front panel on the other side. This is how our sleeve is going to look like. This is how we're going to work it from here all the way to down. Okay, so you need measurements. So I did, my sleeve is 14 inches. How did I get 14 inches? When I measure around my arm, it's about 4 inches, and I wanted something bigger than, of course, what my arm is, so I added 4 inches. So you can do the same. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. So from the middle right at the shoulder is 7, going to the back panel, and then going to the front panel is also 7. And when you add all that, then it will give me an armhole of 14 inches. Okay, so it's 7 on one side, 7 on the other side, making it 14. You can make it 8, 8, or you can make it 6, 6. You can make it 9, 9, depending on your arm measurements. So I put stitch markers. It's very important so that you don't forget where you need to start and end. Okay, so do that. So I am going to work single crochets across. As you can see, this is the middle where we join our shoulders, the shoulder part. There's the front panel and the back panel, and I have 7 inches on each side of the panels. Okay, you could have 8, you could have 9, depending on how large you want it to be. So reattach your yarn that you want to use first, and we are going to make single crochets across, and this is how we are going to make them. So I'm going to go into this very first stitch, make a single crochet, and go into this next stitch, which is the middle of this stitch, make a single crochet, and then go at the top of the stitch here, make a single crochet in the middle of the stitch, at the top of the stitch, in the middle of the stitch, and at the top of the stitch, in the middle of the stitch, at the top of the stitch, and that's going to be a repeat. So we're going into the middle of the stitch and at the top of the stitch, here and there, then here and there at the top. Okay, I hope it's clear enough. I can't explain it, you just have to look at it. Okay, and you're going to do that all the way to the other side of the panel. Okay, single crochets all through, middle, top, middle, top, middle, top. Until I'm here. So I went all the way. I have my first 14 inches, and I will remove this stitch marker and then insert my last stitch in there. So for row 2, we are going to chain 2. Let me show you how it looks. So this is how it looks when it's laying down. So we worked along like this, and we're going to be working from side to side, side to side, side to side. Okay, front panel, back panel, and we will make something like this. Okay, so this is how it is. It will end up like that. So we have chain 2, excuse me. So we're going to go in with a double crochet into the first single crochet, and then we'll go into the next stitch, make a double crochet, and we are going to make 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way to the end. So you already know the pattern. It's like what we did for the sweater, but I will show you anyway. So I'm at the end of the row. This is how it looks like, and we are going to make our last stitch in this last single crochet here. Okay, and then we're going to chain 2, which doesn't count as a stitch, then turn our work, and in this very first stitch we will work a double crochet, and then go into the next one, work as a double crochet, and into the next one make a double crochet, and you are going to keep doing this until the end, until you want to change your to another color. The pattern is the same. Once you want to change the other color, use front posts, then just keep changing colors as you wish until you have the height of your sleeve. Mine, I did 20 inches. You see how it fits on me? It's quite long, so I did 20 inches. You can do shorter, you can do longer, depending on how you want your feet to be. Just measure from your shoulder to your wrist. Okay, remember we have the cuff, so put that in mind. So I have my 20 inches, which is almost 50, same as 50 centimeters. Okay, so that's my sleeve, and once I have my sleeve, so now I have 2 sleeves. I already did the other one I told you before. So just make your sweater like this, and this is the outside part, the wrong side, fold it, and now we want to do the sleeves. So we're going to attach everything together like this, go down like this. Okay, so I'm starting from the lower, is it the hem? I don't know the name for it. So I'll reattach my yarn, and we are just going to use slip stitches all through. I'm slip stitching in both sides, the front panel and the back panel. And when it gets to this side where we have our double crochets, then I will slip stitch in the 2 stitches and then the ridges in the stitch and then the ridge. And you don't have to use a different color. If you have the patience and the time, you can use, let's say where I have purple, use purple, where I have white, use white, but I don't have that patience, so I'll just do this color that I want to use to do my cuffs. Okay, and this is how it looks. Okay, but if you want to make it more neat, then use those colors that you used. Okay, so me, I will just go with this one because I don't really care that much. It doesn't show when you're wearing it anyway, so just go all the way up and then to the bottom of the sleeve. So all the way up here like this, and then along the sleeve, and all the way down where I will do my cuff, because I want my cuff to be this color. So I went all the way down, and this is the wrong side. So we want to work our cuff the right side. So turn your work inside out, or the right side. So we have now the right side outside, because that's where we want to work our cuff area. Okay, as you can see, this is my sleeve, but it is quite big and I want to make it like halfway. Okay, so which means I will reduce every stitch in, so we'll have half of this sleeve as our cuff. So I'm going to chain 2, okay, and we are going to make reductions. So how do I make reductions? First of all, I'm going to go in with a double crochet in this first stitch, and now this is how I make the reduction. So I'll go into the very first stitch, into the 2 loops on top like this, and then come out of the next stitch. So I'm working in 2 stitches at once, then make something that looks like a front post, okay, but only in the top loops. Okay, so I worked in these 2, now I want to work in these 2. Okay, pay attention. I go in like this, I go out of the next stitch, okay, and then I complete my double crochet. Then I worked in these 2, now I want to work in this next 2. Okay, don't work in the same stitches, it can happen. That means you'll not make a reduction. So please note the ones you've worked in. So my next 2 will be these 2. Okay, I already worked in this and this other one. So now next is these 2. So I go in, I go out. Okay, that's where my hook is, and then I complete the double crochet. So in the next 2, I go in, out, like that. So we are making reductions. At the end of it all, I will have half the number of stitches that I had before. Okay, and then my cuff will be smaller. I'll meet you here. All right, so I'm done with row 1, and this is how it looks. As you can see, it's smaller, so I'll just do my last stitch, which is a double crochet because it's only 1 stitch remaining, and then I will slip stitch on top of that chain 2. Is it a chain 2? Chain 3. Anyways, so we are going to work in one direction, so I'll chain 3 and I'll make a front post. So in this first stitch here, we are going to make a front post. We're going to be using front post and back post. So my next stitch is going to be a back post. So I'll go from behind. So this is front post, now back post from behind, go over my stitch like that, go back behind, you see, and then make a back post. And my next stitch is going to be a front post, so I will go from inside under it like that. And next is a back post, so I'll go from the back over it and make a back post. So we are going to work front post, back post, front post, back post until we get to the end of this row, and I will meet you so that I can show you how to do the next row. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of the row, and this is going to be my last stitch, which will be a back post. And to close off the row, we'll use a slip stitch on top of the chain 3. And then I'll chain 3 and then start our new row, which is now already defined. So where we have a front post, we'll make a front post, and where we have a back post, we will make a back post. So this is a back post. Next is going to be a front post, and next a back post. So this is going to be the pattern. You're going to do this until you have the size of the cuff cuff that you want. Mine, I think I did 7 rows. Okay, just keep going round and round and round. I'll meet you once I'm done with mine. Okay, so I'm done with mine, and this is how it looks. I did a total number of 7 rows, and we will do the same for the other sleeve. So you'll go work on the other sleeve and then also do the cuff for it. Okay, and I'll meet you once you have 2 sleeves. I am done, and these are my sleeves, these are my cuffs. I totally did different colors on every sleeve because that's how I wanted it to be. Okay, so, and we are now going to work on the neckline because that's the only thing we have remaining. So we are going to use front post and back post just like we did for the sleeve. Okay, so I already attached my yarn here at the shoulder, and I wanted to use black. So don't complain that you can't see because I can explain the stitches. So we'll just do a row of double crochet. So I'll go in with a double crochet in this very first stitch, and then in this next stitch in the middle I go in with a double crochet, and then at the top of this stitch here I'll go in with a double crochet, and then the next is in the middle of the stitch, double crochet, at the top of the stitch, double crochet, and then in the middle of the stitch, double crochet, at the top of the stitch, double crochet, and I'm going to repeat all this until I'm down where it is more defined. So once you get down here, it's more defined because there are clear stitches. So you're just going to work a double crochet in every stitch all the way here. Once you get to here, you work like we worked on the side and go all around up to here. So I went all around, and this is how it looks like. I want to close this off, so I will make a slip stitch on top of the chain 3 that we first made. And for row 2 we are working in one direction, so I'll chain 3 and I'll work front post and back post. Okay, so in this first stitch I'll go under with a front post. Next is a back post. You already did this from the sleeve, so you should know. So we're working front post and back post, front post and back post, and you're going to go all around. And I did a total number of 3 rows, so this is my second row. Once I'm done with it, I'll do my last row. You can do more rows if you want. You see how it looks on me. Then if you like, you could do more rows, 4 rows maybe, depending on what you like. Okay, so I'll meet you once you're done with your neckline. Okay, and if you want, you can mix colors in the neckline too. I think it would be pretty cool, but that's up to you. Okay, same pattern, just different. So this is me, I'm done. I did 3 rows in total, and this is how it looks like. So cut your leftover yarns and sew them in, and it should look something like this once you're done. I already have mine on and I love it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you like it. Please share, like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.